So, Richard, you talked today about teamwork.
Yeah.
And you used comparison of team players to some musical instruments and team as orchestra. Tell me, how did you come up with this comparison, with this metaphor, or this idea to use something else?
Well, actually, it began in 1991. I started my first company. And the biggest mistake I made was that I started hiring people that looked like me. And that is not a very successful strategy, I can tell you, because then you got copies of yourself running around. And a befriended psychologist told me, well, Richard, you should deep dive into the Belbin team roles. And maybe people in HR will know him. Because he did a wonderful research on what makes a team effective. And he discovered that you need different characters, different people. And he abstracted, let's say, 8 different character roles. And I was blown away by that. And we started implementing that in our own companies. But the names Belbin gave to the 8 roles, he called them a shaper, a monitor, a plant, and who wants to be a plant? So the names didn't relate to me. And I was always, I'm a musician is a big word, but I always loved music and playing music. I started with the drumming and playing bass and guitar and singing in bands. And I was in a cafe with a musical friend of mine. He's now the musical director of David Garrett. Don't you know David Garrett, the violin? Yeah, well, he's Frank van der Heijden. And we were drinking a couple of beers, and we came up. I asked him, how could we do that? How could we compare those roles? And then first of all, he came with Peter and this symphony, Peter and Wolf.
Yeah.
But it was way too complex. And then we came up the other day, wait a minute, when we start comparing them with musical instruments, all of a sudden it becomes clear. Because when you start beating on a trumpet, nothing will happen. And when you start blowing on a violin, nothing happens as well. And the same goes for people. I mean, we all got different characters. We all got attracted to different things. We got people that like to think. Just right now here on stage, I was sitting next to Paul, and I was blown away by his thinking. And I'm more of a enthusiast. I like to motivate people. So you got different powers. We got different characters, just like we have different instruments. And the nice thing about instruments is, when you listen to each other and you tune into each other, you can play together. And the same goes in an organization. So that was the way I came up with the idea, and it was like 1991. It is like 30 years ago from now. Yeah,
Time flies.
So you're having fun. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but this metaphor, I think, is very, very spot on, because you're searching for harmony, both in music and in team, yeah? So because you have your own target, your objective that you're aiming at, and you're going into that direction.
Absolutely. Music is a universal language. Everyone can relate to it. There is not a culture in this world that doesn't have music as an expression form, so we all can relate to it. And in that way, it's very close in working in organizations, because we all around the world, we work in organizations, and we try to structure them in a way that helps us. But a lot of companies are structured like the classical orchestras, right? The conductor, we have someone with a vision, the composer, and then we all got this instrument. But I noticed that classical music is just one piece of music. I mean, we got blues, rap, soul, metal, and we got all those different types of music because people started jamming together, started working on new ideas. And that is so wonderful about music. Everything that you can think of, you can relate in somewhat way to music. So that's why it makes a very powerful metaphor. Yeah, true.
So you came up with analogies to Belbin classification in terms of musical instruments.
Yeah.
What are they?
Well, shall I just name a few?
Yeah. As an example.
Yeah, for instance, you're listening right now to the guy who plays the trumpet. And there's one thing I like to stress: you are no trumpet, you are no bass, but you can play it. The same goes for your character. You are not an introverted person, but you can be somewhat introverted, right?
Okay.
So it's all about playing. Well, you're listening to a trumpet right now, and the trumpets are the men and the women who are very optimistic, very into discovering new things, very networkers. And when you ask them to join your team, they'll say, yeah, of course. And then you have your first meeting and they will not be there because they found something else that is attractive. Where on the other hand, we got the bass, and the bass is actually very steady. Both feet down on the ground, very down to earth, very practical. So if you come up with new ideas, the first thing they will think, okay, can we put this into practice? Can we fix that? Or you take the drum and they bang on it and they just set the tempo. Or just take the critical and analytical harp. Because when you listen to the harp, the first thing you start doing is, wandering off in your mind. What's happening? So those are 4 of 8 instruments. So everyone who likes to know what kind of instrument they are, go to richardhope.com/LT, and then they can fill out the questionnaire and they can find out for themselves.
You know, I just wanted to share what I was reminded when I was listening to you on stage is actually playfulness.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very important that we don't forget, and I try to do it on a daily basis, but I also want to remind all people of that, is that too often we become very serious. You know, we go into very difficult terminology, business notions, just even words from other languages, not our own. We are so serious from morning to the evening. And when I was listening to you, I think it's, just like a fresh air, because we have to play. And it doesn't matter if we manage, if we produce something, if we do marketing, just things, doesn't matter what. Basically, just to have fun with everything that we do. And actually, Brené Brown, she was doing some of the research on that. And she said that, she was analyzing people who are happy and what distinguishes them above others, yeah? So, and it was one thing that they play, just on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Well, if I could give a listener one advice, and please forgive me, but please look for orchestras where you can play, because there's so much orchestras in this world. Why would you be annoyed by other people? Why would you do that? And I always challenge people to play together instead of work together, because it's so. Yeah, I'm totally agreeing with you. Totally agree. Playfulness is very important.
Richard, you also are very much interested in the topic of resilience.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah. Well, resilience is something that hits you in the face when you at least expect it, right? Because everything that happens where you have a solution, there's no problem. Resilience comes when there is no solution. And it happened to us in 2015. My wife, she was on a day shopping together with our 20-year-old daughter. And when they drove back, they got a car accident, and my daughter did not survive.
Sorry.
And the thing is, there are moments that all of a sudden there is no foresight, there is no future, you think. But resilience comes the moment you find a little bit room or space to find new solutions to deal with the problems you're facing. And in my case, it's my daughter. And in someone else's case, it's a divorce, or you lose a very important customer, or your market vanishes. I mean, we all get faced with things that we did not plan, and the unexpected gives us. Sometimes we do not have the answer. And resilience is all about, in my case, jamming, finding a little bit space. Ask other people to help you, because asking for help is never ever a weakness. Because if you do that, people give you new insights, give you new perspectives. And when you get a new perspective, all of a sudden there is room for finding new solutions. So that is why I actually brought the two things together. On one hand, teamwork, and on the other one, resilience. So teamwork for me is, on the one hand, this classical, because we know exactly what to do. And be resilient as an organization is learn to jam, use the abilities, use the talents of your co-workers, your colleagues, your friends, and all of a sudden you get a new perspective. And when you get a new perspective, there's a chance that you find new ways.
You've mentioned some of the tips that you give to be individually resilient. Yeah, talk to other people, just take time to analyze your reaction. What about the organization?
Yeah, in an organization, you got 3 types of resilience. The first one, of course, is the mental resilience that you and I have to develop. The second one is the social resilience. The social resilience is all about, all the people around you, the people you work with in your organization. So I can be very resilient as a person, that's very nice. But if my team is not resilient, then there's some difficulties. And the third form of resilience is operational resilience, which means, does our culture, does our structure help us to find room, to find space, to find solutions where we don't know what to do? So on these 3 layers, you have to work as an organization. You have to make sure that your people are mentally fit. You can work on the social resilience in a team by harmonizing stuff. Harmony doesn't mean doing the same thing, but using all the differences and bring them into tune.
Okay.
So there's harmonizing. And the third one, the organizational resilience is all about organizing. Organizing it in a way that we can be resilient as people. Because I see a lot of organizations that have cultures, structures that make it merely impossible to be flexible as an organization. So on these 3 levels, you have to work. Resilience is, some people say it's like a muscle that you can train. I do think that is a little bit harsh to say, but let me say, it's all about finding space. It's all about, can you change your perspective on things? Because the moment you change your perspective, you see different things, you see different opportunities. If I'm only looking at the fact that I lost my daughter, she's dead, and my life is worthless, then I wouldn't be sitting here. Because I'm very proud of her. I'm very proud of the 20 years that we had with her. So I can be happy with that. Totally different perspectives. So I do not think that a person or a family or a country can be resilient, yes or no. It depends.
Okay.
But it is something there is something you can do.
Jūs klausite podcast'o Žmogiškieji Iššūkiai. Kad nepraleistumėte naujų epizodų, kviečiame prenumeruoti laidos naujienlaiškį adresu žmogiškieji.lt. Podcast'ą prenumeruoti taip pat galite per Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher ir kitose platformose. Laidos partneris Audioteka verslui. Nuolatinio tobulėjimo kultūra jūsų organizacijoje. www.audiotekaverslui.lt